Hello, my friends. This is Tassif starting a new live stream. Everyone who's watching, welcome to my channel. This is a channel where we talk about social and political issues, both domestic and international. So if you are just joining, thank you for being here. If you are here for the first time, welcome. I hope that you will subscribe and be a part of this community of freedom-loving people. And I hope you will stay connected. And not only will you watch this live stream, but also join other live streams in the future. Okay, so if you're watching this, the live chat is open. Please make sure that you're participating in the discussion. It is not in subscriber only mode. It's open as of now. So whether you are a subscriber or not, you can participate in the live chat. Okay. I see our friend Evelyn joined just now. Evelyn, good to see you. Good evening to you. Salerno is here. Wonderful. And hoping that more of our friends will be here. Okay. So let's jump into the discussion. Texas. We're going to talk about Texas. And I know we have friends from Texas who are very much a part of this community. So Texas is a stronghold, right, for Republicans. It's a red state. And, one thing I will tell you as we head into the election year of 2026, we know Texas is a red state. It's a heavily Republican state. But we should never take things for granted. How many times have I said this before? How many times have I said this before, that we should never take things for granted? There are no guarantees in politics. There are no guarantees when you're looking at elections. Okay? Anything can happen. Anything can happen. You should never take things for granted. My friends, you see what's happening right now in Texas, okay? And when I look at Texas, I see that the GOP is very confident. The Republicans in Texas, they're very confident. So confident that they'll win the Senate seat. So confident about the chances of victory in the 2026 U.S. Senate race that the Republicans are competing against one another. That's right. That's right. The Republicans are competing against one another because they feel so confident that the GOP is going to remain in control of the U.S. Senate seat that's up for that's going to be on the ballot in 2026. My friends, in the state of Texas, there's a primary going on. That's right. There's a primary, U.S. Senate primary. Okay, we have an incumbent U.S. senator from Texas. Actually, both the U.S. senators from Texas are Republicans. You got Ted Cruz, who everyone knows, very widely known name, Ted Cruz, U.S. senator from Texas. And then we have John Cornyn. Okay? Both are U.S. senators from Texas. Now, Ted Cruz is not up for re-election in 2026, but John Cornyn is, and he's a Republican, and so he's running for re-election. Okay, this is a seat that he holds, John Cornyn, U.S. Senator in Texas. He's running for re-election, which is fair. You are the incumbent, a Republican in a Republican-heavy state. You run for re-election. That's great. And then comes Ken Paxton, the Republican Attorney General of Texas, who suddenly decides that he's going to run for Senate. Okay, that's fair. You know, if people have political ambitions, they can run, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you thought that John Cornyn and Ken Paxton are the only two Republicans engaged in a primary battle in Texas, well, that's not all. There's Congressman Wesley Hunt, who's also running. That's right, he's running for the same seat, U.S. Senate seat. Congressman Wesley Hunt, he's in the House. Now he wants to become a U.S. Senator, so he's running for U.S. Senate. So, so you got three current office holders in government running for the same office. John Cornyn, U.S. Senator, running for re-election. Ken Paxton, Attorney General, running for Senate. And Wesley Hunt, Congressman, he's running for Senate. They're all running for the same office, and they're all from the GOP. Here's what I've seen from my experience in politics, okay? I mean, I'm guessing you're listening to this. You're listening to my comments. You're watching this video. I'm guessing that you have some confidence in my ability to analyze political issues. I'm guessing you have some trust in my opinions because you're watching this video. So I'm going to tell you what I have seen from my experience in politics, all right? When there's a red district, when there's a red jurisdiction, when there's a red state, meaning a solid Republican state, a solid Republican jurisdiction, the primary battle tends to be quite intense. Because the candidates think that whoever wins the GOP primary will get to win the general election for that seat. Does that make sense? I mean, I can give you an example from my home state of Wisconsin. All you have to do is look at Wisconsin's 7th congressional district. That's right. Where is the 7th congressional district of Wisconsin? If you look at the map of Wisconsin and you look at the very far up north area, you look at the map of Wisconsin, you look at northern Wisconsin, that's the 7th congressional district. Geographically, it's a massive district. Very big piece of land. And it's a very, very red district. That is like completely Trump territory. The 7th congressional district of Wisconsin. That's the district that Sean Duffy, we all know Sean Duffy, right? The Secretary of Transportation, who's doing a great job, by the way, okay? We're not discussing transportation issues here, but I have to add, because Sean Duffy's name came up, a wonderful job he is doing as the Secretary of Transportation. Anyway, that's the district that Sean Duffy represented for many years when he was in Congress. And then Tom Tiffany was elected to that seat when Sean Duffy decided to leave Congress. And now that Tom Tiffany has decided to run for governor in Wisconsin, there are quite a few Republican candidates who are running in the 7th congressional district, right? Red district, 7th congressional district. So a lot of Republican candidates are emerging to run for that one seat, the 7th congressional district seat, because it is such a solid red district, it is understood that whoever wins the Republican primary will most certainly be elected as the member of Congress from that district, the 7th congressional district. That's the logic. And that's why so many people, so many Republicans are running for that seat in Wisconsin. And I hear that. I mean, listen, you look at the roster of the candidates running from the Republican side for that one seat. It's a big list, and that's not all. I'm hearing that other candidates may be jumping in soon, so the field of candidates may widen. Anyway, that's just one example that I use. That's, this live stream is not about the 7th congressional district of Wisconsin, but I'm just using an example to make the case that whenever there's a red district and there's a vacancy or there's an opportunity for a contest, then multiple Republican candidates will jump in hoping to win the primary, because once you win the primary, because it's a red district, you most certainly win the general election. So my main topic today is Texas, red state. So people assume that whoever wins the GOP primary in Texas will win the U.S. Senate seat. So it could be incumbent John Cornyn being re-elected, or it could be Ken Paxton, the current Attorney General who's running for Senate. He could win. Or it could be Wesley Hunt. Could be Wesley Hunt making his way from the House to the U.S. Senate. But here's the thing. In a major state like Texas, once again, I'm going to repeat, nothing can be taken for granted. You cannot say, oh, it's a red state, whoever wins the GOP primary will most certainly win the general election. As much as we want to say that, it cannot be guaranteed. And so while the Republicans are competing against each other in the primary, you know what the Democrats are doing? The Democrats are finding unity. That's right. We got the Republicans competing against each other. We got John Cornyn, Ken Paxton, Wesley Hunt engaged in a primary battle, while the Democrats are finding unity. Look what happened. JASMINE CROCKETT, member of the United States House of Representatives, Congresswoman JASMINE CROCKETT, very widely known Democrat, she decided to jump into the race for the U.S. Senate. I'm sure you've heard about her announcement, or you've seen her announcement. Maybe you follow her on social media. Maybe you read her posts. Maybe you've watched her interviews. If you've done one or all of those, then you know about the kind of politician she is. Far, far left. I don't have to explain that. You know this. You know this. You've watched, right? I mean, if you're watching this live stream, then I'm assuming you are somebody who likes to pay attention to what's going on in politics. So I'm not going to be introducing Jasmine Crockett to you. I'm not going to be reading her viewpoints. I'm not going to be reading to you her policies and principles. You know that she's far, far left. She belongs to the far left wing of the Democrat Party. And she decided to jump into the race for the U.S. Senate. And guess what happened? Colin Allred, somebody we talked about in the past, Colin Allred, Democrat, a Democrat who was running for the U.S. Senate seat in Texas, he decided to quit. He said, I'm out. So Colin Allred is out, Jasmine Crockett is in, and what does that tell you? What does that tell you? It tells me that the Democrats are united. It tells me that the Democrats are coming up with strategies. They're ready to campaign. They got a game plan. Colin Allred leaves the race to make it easy, I'm guessing, to make it easy for Jasmine Crockett. So the Democrats are trying to unite behind a candidate. Pretty earlier on in the process. I mean, 2026 is not here yet. We're close, but we are not officially into 2026, and the Democrats are already solidifying their plan. They know who they are going to support. Colin Allred could have stayed in the race. He decided, no, time to go. I don't know if he was asked by the Democrat political machine to exit the race, or whether he did it because of his own will, his own decision. I don't know, but all I know is the fact that Colin Allred is out, Jasmine Crockett's in, and the party is uniting behind Jasmine Crockett. So the Democrats are united. They got a game plan. Of course, there's another guy named James Tallarico. Is it Tallarico? Is that how you pronounce it? I know I've talked about this guy before. I think it's Tallarico, James Tallarico, another Democrat. Some people say, oh, he's the rising star. I don't know if he's the rising star. Would you call him the rising star of the Democrat Party? Look at James Tallarico, the rising star. Oh my God. I don't know. Some people seem very excited. Oh, we got a rising star. Okay? I mean, Cory Booker, people would say Cory Booker's a rising star. Is he a rising star? I don't know. Oh, people come up with reasons for enthusiasm. That's all right. So, James Tallarico, or however you pronounce his name, he's running, but I think we all understand that he's not going to get the Democrat Party nomination for the U.S. Senate race. He's just probably in to try to gain more followers. You know, the more you run, the longer you stay in the race, the more social media followers you get, right? Maybe you stay in the race, pretend to be a rising star, and who knows, maybe you write a book afterwards. I don't know. But I think it's pretty obvious that Tallarico is not going to be the Democrat nominee. Okay? In fact, Jasmine Crockett became the front runner as soon as she jumped into the race for the U.S. Senate. A Texas Southern University poll shows that Jasmine Crockett is 8 points ahead of This guy named James Tallarico. Tallarico is at 43%, and Jasmine Crockett is at 51%. That is quite a significant difference. And now it's not good news for the Republicans, and I can tell you why. I can tell you why. I wish I had better news to share, but I'm just going to give you my honest opinions. One might assume that Jasmine Crockett is not going to win. One might assume that she will probably perform very poorly in the general election. Okay, and if you think like that, I completely understand. You have reasons to think like that because Jasmine Crockett, far left, she's not going to do very well in the election in a state like Texas. But then again, you don't know for sure. You cannot guarantee anything. My friends, let me tell you, in 2024, when we saw the Ted Cruz versus Colin Allred Senate race, it was 53.1% for Ted Cruz and 44.5% for Allred back in November, just, a little over a year ago, 2024. Ted Cruz, the Republican, had 53.1% of the votes, and Colin Allred had 44.5%. Okay, in another statewide race, just 2 years prior, in 2022, Governor Greg Abbott, the Republican, won the governor's race with 54.8% of the votes, and Beto O'Rourke got 43.8%. So it seems quite clearly, and that's a fact, that the Republicans have been winning these major statewide races by getting somewhere around 53 or 54% of the votes. And the Democrats have been getting around 44% of the votes. Now that seems to be a very safe margin. Okay? The Republican gets around 53, 54% of the votes. The Democrat gets around 44% of the votes. I mean, that's a pretty safe margin, right? But keep in mind that the electorate changes every election. You got a pool of voters, right? In any jurisdiction, in any state. And that pool of voters, the eligible voters, that population changes every cycle. As people age and they become elderly, we may lose some voters. And then young people grow up and they turn 18 and they become new voters. People move out of states, people move into states. And so the electorate is changing. The population of voters in any given jurisdiction is changing. Maybe it's a slow change, maybe it's a rapid change, but it's a change that occurs. Now, I don't know in which direction Texas is going. Is it becoming more and more Republican? Or is it becoming less and less Republican and the Democrats are kind of gaining more advantage? I don't know. I'm sure there are people conducting polls and studies to try to figure that out, but I'm going to keep things very simple here without going into a lot of details. In simple terms, I'm going to tell you, it's Jasmine Crockett against the GOP now. That's right. It's Jasmine Crockett against the GOP. Whose name appears on the ballot from the Republican side, we don't know. Is it going to be John Cornyn? Is it going to be Ken Paxton? Is it going to be Wesley Hunt who is going to win the primary? We do not know, but I think the Democrats will use the same strategy no matter who the Republican voters choose as the nominee. Is it going to be Jasmine Crockett versus John Cornyn? We don't know. Is it going to be Jasmine Crockett versus Ken Paxton? We don't know. Is it going to be Jasmine Crockett versus Wesley Hunt? We don't know. But the Democrats will use the same strategy, the same talking points, no matter what. My friends, when I think about the Texas Senate race, I can feel already, I can sense the rise in temperature, the political heat, the intensity of this competition. The temperature is rising. Can you imagine how heated this race will be in the fall of 2026? As we get closer to the election day, how heated this race is going to be. I can feel it already. My friends, the Democrats are very, very competitive when it comes to ground game. Ground game. What does it mean, ground game? You come up with your own definition. I'll tell you what I think it is. Ground game. It refers to campaign strategies for grassroots organizing and voter outreach. Door knocking, literature distribution, face-to-face interactions with voters on the ground and in communities across the jurisdiction. Ground game. It's labor intensive. And the Democrats, for sure, are going to be spending a lot of money in the massive state of Texas in 2026. They're going to spend a lot of money on developing a ground game strategy. And don't be surprised if this guy named James Tallarico, if he decides to quit the race and then allow Jasmine Crockett to easily cruise to the party nomination. Don't be surprised. You might think, oh, you know what? Crockett's going to have a tough competition against Tallarico. Maybe Tallarico is just going to walk away from the race. Maybe Tallarico is going to quit like Allred did. This is what Democrats do. They unite. You may start with multiple candidates, but very soon the candidates just drop out. And even before you get to a primary, the Democrats already have their candidate. That's what happens. I've seen that in the past. So don't be surprised if this guy named James Tallarico, if he quits the race and just starts supporting Jasmine Crockett. The Republicans, let me tell you, they have a very, very tough race ahead. Do not take things for granted in Texas. Do not just assume because it's Texas that the Republicans are going to win. Do not take things for granted. It's going to be a mistake. It's going to be a mistake. The Democrats, they are organizing. Let me tell you that. Yes, you are going to hear some Democrat voices who will criticize Jasmine Crockett, and it might appear for a while that the Democrats are not fully united behind Jasmine Crockett, but do not be fooled. They are united. They are fully backing Jasmine Crockett, and they will use some distractions as a strategy. My analysis tells me that the Democrats are fully behind supporting Jasmine Crockett. So anyway, I think I've made my point very, very clear. It's going to be one very tough race. It's going to be a very tough race. As Salerno is saying, the Democrats always stick together. That is so correct, Salerno. That is so correct. You know, I've seen Republicans, they get into heated primaries. The Republicans do that. They go all the way to the primary to fight it out. But the Democrats, they avoid the primary. They handpick their candidates. And that's what's going to happen in Texas. I mean, don't be surprised if this guy named James Talarico quits before the new year. Or maybe right after we enter the new year. But he might quit before the new year. It might happen. And the Republicans, you can safely assume that Ken Paxton and John Cornyn and possibly even Wesley Hunt may go all the way to the primary. I mean, Wesley Hunt, who knows, he might drop out. But Ken Paxton and John Cornyn, they are going to go all the way to the primary. They are going to let the primary voters decide who the nominee is going to be from the Republican Party. But that's not going to happen on the Democrat side. The decision's made. It's Jasmine Crockett. So that's why I say it's going to be one tough race. And the longer the Republican candidates continue to compete against each other in the U.S. Senate primary, the worse it'll be for the Republicans in the general election in 2026. Like I said, I wish I could express greater confidence. I wish I could start this live stream and say, you know what, my friends in the Lone Star State, do not worry. The Republicans, they're going to win, guaranteed. We're going to hold on to the Senate seat. I wish I could tell you that. But I'm worried. This heated primary is going to divide the Republican voters. There will be John Cornyn supporters. There'll be Ken Paxton supporters. There'll be Wesley Hunt supporters. And if this contest goes all the way to the primary, then whoever wins the primary is going to have a much more difficult road ahead. Because if John Cornyn wins, then the Ken Paxton voters are going to be reluctant to support John Cornyn. And if Ken Paxton wins, and the incumbent John Cornyn, if he loses the primary, then his supporters are going to be not so happy and possibly quite reluctant to support Ken Paxton. And same if you include Wesley Hunt in the whole equation. So the Republican voters may end up being very, very divided because of this heated primary. But the Democrats, they are going to be united in supporting Jasmine Crockett. And that is where the challenge is. My friends, whatever I'm saying doesn't make sense to you. You can feel free to disagree with me. That's all right. If you have some other analysis, you can let me know that. That's fine. That's fine. I'm giving you my analysis. You don't have to agree with me. Synergy says, I'm with you. Thank you. Tommy Brown, good to see you. Tommy Brown says agree. Kay Cooper, good to see you. Our friend from Texas. Kay Cooper says TTTT. Thank you so much. It means toss if tells the truth. Kay, thank you for being in agreement with my viewpoints. So Cornyn and Paxton and Wesley Hunt, they can continue to compete against each other and be engaged in this heated primary, but what that'll do is decrease the chances of victory for the GOP in the US Senate race in Texas 2026. And the GOP cannot afford to lose in Texas. GOP cannot afford to lose in Texas. That's really my analysis. I don't know. If you have thoughts you can share with me. You can share with me your thoughts, my friends. You know, I like it when I can be confident in sharing good news. Today I don't have any good news to share with you. At least not on this topic. I mean, there are other great things happening, but regarding the US Senate race in Texas, I'm concerned. I'm concerned. So there's a poll question that I have. You can feel free to answer that. Who will win the US Senate race in Texas? Is it going to be John Cornyn, Ken Paxton, Wesley Hunt, or Jasmine Crockett? Salerno says, toss if you should be in politics. Salerno, I am in politics. I already am. I am not a political candidate yet. I am not, running for any office in 2026, but I'm involved in politics in general. I have been for many years. Yeah. By the way, those who are here for the first time, please make sure that you subscribe, okay? Please subscribe and stay connected. All right. Synergy says I subscribe. Thank you, Synergy. I appreciate that very, very much. Okay. Okay. Let's see. Let's do. I mean, I'm conducting that poll, but I want to see in the live chat your response. Who would you support? Is it going to be Cornyn, Paxton, Hunt, or Crockett? I'm not going to include Tallarico's name there because I guess Tallarico is, I don't know. I don't think he's going to be on the ballot because he's not going to be able to win against Jasmine Crockett if he at all decides to go all the way to the primary. Let's see. Who do you think is going to win? Okay, you can tell me who do you think is going to win the Republican primary, Cornyn, Paxton, or Hunt? Salerno is saying Paxton all the way. All right. K. Cooper saying Cornyn. Okay. Evelyn saying Hunt, okay. Tommy Brown saying Paxton. Let's see what people have to say. Gregory, not sure, all right. Okay, someone says we will know more when the time comes. Yeah, absolutely, we'll know more when the time comes. But we're having this discussion here right now, so you can let me know who you think is going to win. K. Cooper says this race will be interesting. Yeah, it'll be interesting. It'll be pretty heated, and yeah, probably one of the most closely watched races in 2026. I mean, keep in mind that the incumbent always has an advantage. So from that standpoint, John Cornyn has an advantage. Okay, that's just speaking in general terms. John Cornyn has an advantage. I strongly believe that. I mean, both John Cornyn and Ken Paxton have won statewide races because John Cornyn is in the Senate, for which you have to win a statewide race to be in the Senate. And Ken Paxton is the Attorney General. That also means that he has won a statewide race. So, I mean, it's going to be very, very competitive. I'm looking at some real clear polling data, and I see in a hypothetical race, if it's Paxton versus Crockett, then Paxton wins. If it's Cornyn versus Crockett, then Cornyn wins. In this hypothetical matchup, I see that Cornyn wins against Crockett by a larger margin compared to the hypothetical victory of Paxton against Crockett. Okay, so just looking at poll data. Share with me your thoughts, my friends. Synergy says, great channel. Thank you, Synergy. Appreciate it very much. Thank you, Kay. Kay says we have the best host. I appreciate that, Kay. Thank you so much. Okay, let me just hold on a second. Let me share with you some analysis of the poll that I'm conducting. You look at the poll question, who will win the US Senate race in Texas? We got 3 Republicans, 1 Democrat. There's a reason for that, because as I said, James Tallarico, I don't think he's going to get the nomination. My prediction is he's going to not even get to the primary. But the Republicans may go all the way to the primary. So if you look at Jasmine Crockett, she got 43% of the votes, according to the poll that I'm conducting. The highest number out of the 4 candidates listed, 43%. Now, when you look at it instantly, it may say, oh, Jasmine Crockett got the highest. No. If you add up the votes that John Cornyn, Ken Paxton, and Wesley Hunt got, according to my poll, that's far greater than 43. I mean, John Cornyn got 26%, Ken Paxton got 19%. So that's 45% right there, which is more than 43% that Jasmine Crockett got. And then you add Wesley Hunt, another 12%. With 45, you add 12, you get 57. So that's 57% in support of a Republican candidate. Split because I've put 3 Republican candidates there, but you put them as one, that's 57% of the votes for the Republican side and 43% for the Democrat side, Jasmine Crockett. So this is what proves the point. It shows that support for Republicans in general is much greater in Texas. But if you have got a heated primary, then that's going to split up the support, which is fine because at the end of the day, only one Republican candidate goes to the general election, but a heated primary is going to split up support. And so, like I said earlier, John Cornyn may win the primary, but then he moves on to the general, and some Ken Paxton supporters may be reluctant to support Cornyn. Some Wesley Hunt supporters may be reluctant to support Cornyn. Or if Ken Paxton wins, some Cornyn supporters would be reluctant to support Ken Paxton. And so if you have the Republican nominee going against Jasmine Crockett general election, which is what it'll be, and if some of the Republican voters are reluctant to go vote in the general election because their favorite candidate, Republican candidate, did not qualify for the general, did not win the primary, if they sit at home and not vote because they don't feel motivated enough, then that may be a big problem for the GOP. That's the whole point that I'm trying to make. And somebody's asking me, why do you wear that jacket? What's wrong with my jacket? I don't understand. What you don't like the jacket I'm wearing? I think people like the jacket, you know? I think most people have said good things about this jacket. Not only this one, but the other jacket that I have, leather. And I have other jackets that are non-leather, okay? So I don't know what's the issue with my jacket. I mean, if you see me during the day or when I'm working, I'm usually dressed in businessman clothing. I'm wearing a shirt and a tie and a blazer or a suit. That's what I wear during the day when I'm working. But oh, you like my jacket? Oh, Pamela, you like my... Oh, I'm sorry. I thought the way you asked me, why do you wear that jacket, I thought you probably don't like it. Okay, I'm sorry. It says, I like your jacket. I appreciate that, Pamela. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate that. I couldn't quite figure out the tone of that question earlier. Why do you wear that jacket? I thought you probably don't like it because, I've had some viewers here who have criticized, my clothes, my hat, so on and so forth. Yet Tommy Brown's asking, where's the hat? I love the hat in the other room, Tommy. The hat's in the other room. The MAGA hat is in the other room. I forgot to get it, but I don't want to get up right now. I mean, I could, but I'd rather stay here. I'll get it for next time. Kay Cooper likes my haircut. Thank you so much, Kay. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you. I got dense hair, which is good, but it's graying really fast. It's graying really fast. What can I say? You know, go and look at my pictures from, I don't know, 8 years ago. 8 years ago, I did not have all this gray hair. Okay. All right. So anyway, ask me questions, my friends. I've talked for almost an hour, 51 minutes, but now you can ask me questions. Ask me relevant questions. Um, ask me questions. Tommy says, please get. I'll get the hat next time, Tommy. Um, I don't wanna get them now, Tommy. By the way, we got okay. So for the new viewers, let me introduce our friends. We got our friend Tommy Brown from Colorado. We got uh, Evelyn from Vegas. We got um, Kay Cooper from Texas. Is Frank here? Frank from Florida. Are you here, Frank? Do we have AC Cruz? I haven't seen AC in a while. Michael Brown was here the other day. Yeah, Tommy Brown is talking about. I did somebody raise the question about like feeling sleepy or something? I don't know. Listen, I know that these photographers who go and cover these White House events, um, I guess like they are looking for that moment, like when they can grab a picture and try to show that, oh, the president's falling asleep. No. I mean, listen, you got to understand. As we talk, we blink, right? I mean, right now I'm talking and I'm blinking. I'm blinking. People blink over the course of a regular day. You know, when we are performing an action, when we are sitting down, when we're walking, when we're talking, we're having a conversation, people blink. And if you capture a photograph of the exact moment when somebody is blinking, like right now, I'm talking and I'm blinking. If you capture a picture at the exact moment when I blink, and if you can capture a picture of me with my eyes closed, you can make the case, oh, Tausif is sleeping. No, I'm not sleeping. And some of these photographers who capture these high profile events, they have really advanced cameras with, you know, like the burst mode where you with one click you can capture like it's almost like, you know, you capture like 10, 20 images in a second. Okay? So if you do that, and a lot of those cameras are used for sporting events where, you know, let's say, you know, an athlete is running very fast or is engaged in some aggressive maneuver like tackling or something, whatever. They use those burst modes on the camera to capture that action, the all the of a certain movement, like almost like split second by split second. So like that, if you are capturing an image of somebody who's, let's say, speaking, like if you were here in front of me, and as I'm talking, if you're taking like pictures after pictures, like 10 pictures within few moments, I'm sure there's going to be one photo where you're going to see my eyes closed. And if you publicize that picture and you say, oh, Tassif is sleeping, no, I'm not sleeping, I'm talking. So I know that the left is desperate about trying to make the case that, oh, Donald Trump is tired, he's falling asleep. He's not. He is not. And even if, let's say, over the course of a whole year, where he's doing meetings every single day, maybe one day a human being, he's a senior citizen, right? He's an elderly man who is extremely energetic compared to other people of the same age. He's extremely energetic and strong. But let's say one day he's sitting at a meeting and it's a 2-hour long cabinet meeting, 3-hour long cabinet meeting, and he decides, or like he feels a little tired. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, you got to understand that we have elected a human being for president, okay? He's a human being of flesh and blood. There can be days when he feels a little exhausted. There can be days when he feels like taking a nap over the course of a day. That's fine. That's normal. I do these live streams. I've been doing these live streams since January of 2024. So we're getting close to a 2-hour, two-year mark. And there have been days when I have been feeling extremely sleepy as I'm doing live stream. And I've said that to people. I said, oh, you know what? I'm going to go sleep. I'm not going to continue with the live stream any longer because I've had a long day. I'm tired. I'm going to go sleep. And there have been times when my friends have said, here, Tassif, you look exhausted. Why don't you go and sleep? I mean, right now, it's 1:39 a.m. as I'm doing this live stream. My neighbors are probably sleeping. It's quiet outside. I can look through the window here. Not window, I got a huge glass door here. You can't see it. I can see outside. It's all quiet, it's dark. You know why? Because at 1:39 a.m., most people are asleep, and I'm doing this live stream. So at some point, or even at this very moment, you might say, Tassif, you look a little tired. Yes, I am, because it's 1:39 a.m. So I mean, if Trump, our great president, if he feels sleepy on one occasion or a couple of occasions during the day, in the afternoon he's doing a meeting and he feels a little sleepy or he looks a little tired, that is normal. You know what that means? That he's working too hard. He's working more than any other president did before him. And that's normal. But you have to judge him by his decisions, by his actions. Now, in the case of Joe Biden, the reason Joe Biden got the title of Sleepy Joe Biden is because he wasn't doing anything in office. He couldn't do... It wasn't just about him feeling sleepy or looking sleepy repeatedly day after day after day. But Joe Biden would not do press conferences. He wouldn't answer reporters' questions, or whenever he would answer reporters' questions, the reporters, hand-picked reporters, would ask him, like, Easy questions. And Joe Biden would have these note cards. He was given instructions like who he should call on. Like, oh, this reporter from this outlet. I mean, it's ridiculous. And the auto pen, the use of the auto pen. Was Joe Biden even signing the documents himself? So Joe Biden was really, I mean, he was absent most of the time. Even when he was in the room, he was either absent-minded, not paying attention, or he was just sitting there like, you know, somebody who doesn't know what's going on. And so my point is, if President Trump looks a little exhausted at times, if he looks like, you know, a little tired at times, that's okay. He's a human being. And we know he doesn't sleep much. He's always working. He's always working. So it's okay for him to look a little sleepy. But the media, the dishonest media, is trying to make a big deal out of that. Trying to catch those images when maybe Trump's blinking and he's, you know, you capture a photo of him with his eyes closed. That is so wrong. By the way, do you agree with me, my friends? I know I've been talking for a while. Let me know. Let me know, my friends. Tommy Brown says, I agree. Thank you, Tommy. Thank you, Tommy. All right. 1 hour, 3 minutes into the live stream. All right, my friends. Ask me questions. I'll try to answer. Ask me questions, my friends. All right. No questions, then I'm guessing we can wrap up then. Should we wrap up? Maybe. What do you think? I don't see questions here. Evelyn says, Tosif, how do you do it? What do I do, Evelyn? Yeah, what exactly? Let's see. Oh, put up with the ignorant comments. You know, it just, like I said, I've been in politics for many years, and it's um, it's like you know when you put yourself on a public platform like this, it's kind of guaranteed that there will be a lot of comments coming from individuals who probably don't have uh, the right information, who don't have much knowledge about an issue, and they use their emotions more than facts, okay? And then you see a lot of comments that, you know, you might call ignorant comments. It's just, um, I mean, you could say that it's a choice that I'm making when I do these live streams, right? It's a choice that I'm making, so I have to be prepared to deal with the comments that I receive. Um, so I mean, that's what it is. That's what it is. I'm doing this by choice. So if I complain that, oh, people are being too harsh to me, or they're insulting me, they're calling me names, if I complain about that, then obviously the question people will ask me is, then why do you do this? You can choose to not do these live streams. So yeah, I understand it's part of the experience, I guess. Um, it's part of the experience of live streaming. Selena is asking, hi Selena. Selena is asking, why did Bongino quit? Well, Mr. Bongino, by the way, he's a great guy. I've never met him, but um, he appears to be um, a nice person. Okay, I haven't met him, but from what I've seen and heard, I think he's a nice guy, and I was happy when he was chosen to be um, a part of the administration. But now he's quitting. I don't know. I do not know. Maybe it's just a personal decision that he's making. Maybe he wants to go back to podcasting. Who knows? Yeah, I don't know. Okay, another question I got is from Kurt saying, how do you know which source to trust? Okay, so I spent a lot of time in the in the academia, in the academic world. Okay, I spent a lot of time studying, doing research. You know, I have an undergrad degree, I have a master's degree, I've written lots of papers. I've done a lot of research on many different topics. Um, if you combine my undergraduate and graduate education, the kind of experience that I had, I don't have a PhD, okay, so I can't, um, claim the title of doctor, okay, because I don't have a PhD, but I spent a lot of time doing research during my undergrad and graduate school days. Many papers I've written, and even beyond school, in the different jobs that I've had, I had to do writing. So anyway, in school, studied African politics, Latin American politics, Russian politics, competitive politics, cost-benefit analysis, economic perspectives of healthcare reform, healthcare economics, healthcare policy, health systems management and policy, macroeconomic theory, microeconomic theory, modern literature, study of race and ethnicity, um, just public management. What else? What else? Law and economics, microeconomic policy analysis. I've just done I spent lots of time studying, and pretty much whatever course you take, you have to write papers, right? Especially in political science and in public policy, if you're writing papers, you have to use sources. You have to cite sources. You have to format your paper based on whatever format it is that should be used, like MLA style of writing, APA format, whatever. And you have to cite the sources. You have to give credit. You have to make sure that the information that you're citing is being properly documented. From what book did you take the information? From what other journal article did you get the information? You just have to be very, very thorough. Okay. And so it's just a habit. You have to verify the information that you're using to support your arguments. Okay. Now I understand that when you're talking about political issues, there can be a lot of subjective material. Okay. So like there are facts, right? Numbers and facts that are just there, that don't change. But then there are some judgments that people draw. Like you could say, oh, this trade deal is a great one. Somebody else would say, oh, this trade deal is not great. That's an opinion. Whose opinion you agree with, that's up to you. Okay? That's up to you. So, I mean, when I say that the border is secure, the southern border, that is a fact. And how can you prove that? Well, you can say there are no gotaways, Okay, I guess that's the term. No illegal crossings have taken place, or illegal aliens who were apprehended trying to cross into the U.S. They were arrested and they have not been released into the U.S. I mean, you can use the data and numbers and facts to come to the conclusion that yes, the border is secure. Okay, there's really no argument about that. Now, if President Trump signs a trade deal with a foreign country, you can read the terms and conditions contained in the trade deal. You can go through all that. But then at the end of the day, you have an opinion. You could say, oh, I like this trade deal. I think it's a great deal. It's going to help us. Or you could say, oh, I don't like this trade deal because of whatever reason. That's your opinion. Okay. So one has to be aware of all these. There are facts, and after reviewing facts, you can come to a conclusion, and the conclusion can vary if it's a matter of an opinion. Does that make sense? I hope it does. Chris is here. Hello, Chris. Thanks for being here, Chris. Okay. Uh, Go ahead, my friends. Ask me questions. Meaningful questions, all right? Evelyn says, "Are you still cooking?" Yes, I am very much involved in cooking. Yeah, it's a part of my life. It's something I do, but I have not been posting videos of my cooking. I have a lot of videos that I've captured, which I did not post. I just have to do it at some point. But yes, I'm very much cooking because I have to eat, right? And I prefer home cooked meals. So yeah, it is an everyday task. And I like it, you know. It is a task, obviously, but it's also an art form. And so if you enjoy cooking, it doesn't seem to be a task. It becomes more of like you're practicing art. Okay. Yeah. There's another Evelyn here. Okay. Yes, EHR's name is Evelyn. That's our friend Evelyn from Vegas. Okay, I see there's another Evelyn here. Okay, so the second Evelyn, who has the name spelled out, Evelyn, where you from? Are you the one from, you said El Paso, is it? EHR is Evelyn from Vegas. Okay, you're Nurse Evelyn from El Paso. Okay, that's great. So should we call you Nurse Evelyn? Is that okay? Or you could give us maybe your middle name. We could call you by your middle name so it doesn't get confusing with our friend Evelyn from Las Vegas, Nevada. Let's see. Let's see here. Give me a second. Oh, it's okay if we call you Nurse Evelyn. Okay. Or you could just give us your um, you could just give us your middle name. That'll be that'll be easy. We'll call you by your middle name. By the way, if you ask me for my middle name, I don't have a middle name. Okay. Oh, Evelyn doesn't have a middle name. I don't have a middle name either. That's great. Okay. Our friend Evelyn from Vegas is asking what's the weather in Madison. Okay, let me look. I'm gonna check now. What's the temperature? Let me check. I know it's cold. Right now, the temperature is 11 degrees Fahrenheit, but it feels like -5, -5 degrees. -5 degrees is what it feels like. Evelyn says the pipes must be well insulated. Yeah, that's true. Um, the pipes are pretty well insulated in Wisconsin. All right. Okay, my friends, I'm going to wrap up this live stream now. I appreciate you all being here. Almost 1 hour and almost close to 90 minutes, maybe a little short, 1 hour, 22 minutes. Thank you so very much for being here. I'm going to be doing hopefully a live stream again very soon. I know I started this one quite late, um, or should I say quite early in the morning, right after midnight. So thank you all for being here, my friends. Thanks for joining for this discussion. I'm going to be back again with more videos and more live streams, so stay tuned. And thank you so very much. Evelyn from El Paso says you're awesome, Tassif. Thank you, Evelyn from El Paso. We got Evelyn from El Paso. We got Evelyn from Las Vegas. All right. Thank you so very much, my friends. May God bless you all. May God bless President Donald J. Trump. May God bless the Trump administration. May God bless the Republicans in Washington. May God bless the United States of America. May God bless our U.S. allies. And may God bless freedom-loving people all over the world. Have a wonderful night. Have a great morning. And I will be back again very soon. Thank you, my friends. See you soon.